Good evening. My name is Sandra Craig, and I represent the Etiquette Foundation of Illinois. You are watching a live interactive call-in television program brought to you on CAN TV 21. Let's talk etiquette. During the next 25 minutes, my very special co-host will be none other than Mr. Nathan Wright. I invite you to call in with your questions and your comments at area code 312-738-1060. 312-738-1060. Today we are talking about the importance of teaching our children a social education at a young age. And this show is dedicated to my very special students at Lincoln Elementary School in Bellwood, Illinois. Please call in again, 312-738-1060. Welcome, Mr. Wright.
Wow, we are back together again, and of course, each and every show is a unique experience, and I'm enjoying each and every one of them. And your topic for today is just awesome, just absolutely awesome.
Well, thank you. And it's a pleasure to have you next to me again today.
I'm very pleased to be here, very pleased.
Now, Mr. Wright, we have talked about the importance of teaching our youth an etiquette at a young age. Can you name some of the benefits of teaching etiquette to our youth, say kindergarten, first grade, second grade? What are the benefits of that?
Well, first and foremost, what etiquette does, it gives them a sense of who they are based on how they are taught to behave. Behavior is something you have to learn, and you have to have an appreciation for it. And so what etiquette does, it combines words with behavior. And words with behavior is so critical to a child's ability to understand what the society requires of him or her to be functional, to be a part of that society, to understand how that society functions. So etiquette is the first and most important education we could give our children, and all of the other disciplines, math, science, all of those other disciplines are connected with etiquette. Because if you don't know how to behave, you don't know how to be self-disciplined, you don't know how to focus, you're not going to be able to learn those other disciplines very well.
That's true. That's true.
Yes.
One of the teachers at Lincoln and I had a conversation, and we were talking about how when the children are well behaved, it makes her job easier, and she's better able to teach because she doesn't have to stop and correct behavior that's out of order.
Yes.
So it does make a difference.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Wright, if you had to give, say, a documentary or a statement about tracking students from first grade or kindergarten up until high school that had received a social education, what would your projection look like or sound like?
Well, we know this for a fact, that once a child learns etiquette, then that child is more self-disciplined. That child can connect behavior with learning and with the discipline they need to learn. If you are focused, and first you have to be self-disciplined, as you well know,
yes.
And you have to be able to follow rules of behavior. If you're in a classroom, you're not there by yourself. You're there with 15, 20, or 25 other individuals. So you have to know your role as a student,
yes.
And what is required of you to be a functioning student, not disrupting the class, not thinking that you're the only person that counts, that you have to be respectful to your fellow students so that the teacher can teach. But this is something that has to be taught to the child. The child normally acts out of spontaneity, impulse. These are the normal reflections of a child who hasn't been taught. But once you teach them, or they have been taught etiquette, yes. Then they learn what is required, and the whole system is connected. their role, their participation in the classroom, and what is required for them to learn a subject. And so it's critical. And those students that you see who have had quality etiquette training, they're going to be much better students in the other disciplines. They're going to receive higher grades in those other subjects, because at the core of what etiquette does, it teaches you a philosophy.
Yes.
Yeah, how to conduct yourself as a human being. We teach manners and morals. And so once they learn that, it's easy to see how these other disciplines are connected with etiquette. And therefore they're able to focus more and concentrate more in the classroom. And as a consequence, they learn more, and it's reflected in their grades.
Yes, that's true. That's
Yes.
true. Now, Mr. Wright, I heard you say that a student that had received a social education etiquette training was more or less unlikely to commit a crime because of the basics of etiquette. Would you explain that to our viewers, please?
Yes, it's pretty simple. We teach manners. In other words, the rules of behavior. What is the appropriate behavior for a certain function? Okay? And then we teach morals. You know, what is acceptable behavior in terms of who you are as a person? And that's reflected in your moral compass, your moral beliefs. In our students, as you well know, when you teach them, you know, how to be empathetic, and you teach them how to have compassion, you teach them what is right from wrong, they are least likely to be a bully. They are least likely to steal. They are least likely to try to take advantage of another student or another person based on their superiority in terms of maybe their size. And so you're going to end up with a much better disciplined adult who is unlikely to commit an offense that would take them into a prison or into the courts. And so it's fairly clearly understood that you end up in prison because you have been corrupted in some fashion, or you lack the ability to understand what is really right from wrong. And this is something that has to come from within. And so we teach manners and we teach morals.
Yes.
So that that individual would be an outstanding adult and be an asset to the community and to the society that he or she lives in.
Yes, yes, and I agree with everything that you said. I want to comment about a few things. Now, my students, my second and first graders at Lincoln Elementary, they have just soaked up the word etiquette. They have soaked up the meaning and the behavior. I tell you, I wouldn't believe that they had never heard the word before, the way they are responding to me.
Yes.
And the way they're responding to the material.
Yes, and this is your curriculum that's up on the screen now.
Yes, this is what I teach. This was their very first lesson.
Yes.
What does the word etiquette mean?
Yes.
And I gave them a little quiz today to see if they knew what the word meant and how to spell it. Yes. And many of them passed the test.
Oh,
and I have great teachers that I'm working with there, Miss Lyles and Miss Terrell. They are actually incorporating what I teach with what they teach. We're a team.
Wonderful.
We're working together, and they're going to be able to learn all of these new words that I've given them. One young lady today in the second grade, she wanted me to know how many new words she had learned since I just started last week. And the teacher is putting it in the spelling lesson.
Yes.
So it's really working out. I am so proud of the students.
Yes.
And I am so glad to be there. Now, I'm going to take a break from a minute for this to take a call. Caller, you're on the air.
Mr. Wright, some things I don't disagree with you. Some of your most well-behaved people and well-educated, and you want to talk about in terms of being morally corrupt, they're on Wall Street. Look what happened back in, let's say, around about 2008 when they had those mortgages, all right? Don't even talk about the legal corrupt, what we call lawyers. They are really morally bankrupt, and they're some of the most well-behaved people. Look what happened about 3 months ago down on LaSalle Street, where the guy was one of the top executives of a company, and he walked into the building and killed his boss in the head. Shoot his boss, and turned the gun on himself. And we're talking about a man that went to an Ivy League university, very well educated, a top executive, and you talk about etiquette or whatever. It don't always go hand in hand.
Well, I think the confusion that you may have there, manners, you can have the most impeccable manners, but that doesn't make you a moral person. So you can't judge a person solely on the fact that they have good manners. See, we could just teach manners ourselves and let it be that, but we understand the connection between morals and morality and how important that is for this person to be an honorable, decent, trustworthy person. Now, you're right about Wall Street. They're very immoral on Wall Street. They're very corrupt. And in the banking, but do you know that they took ethics out of the curriculum at Harvard? They just returned it, but for many years they did not teach ethics at Harvard. And so if you fail to teach a child ethics or morality, then you are more likely to induce that person into doing something corrupt or illegal. So you have to start early in teaching a child to have good morals so that they will do right and go right in their future life. Not to say that they can't still be corrupted and do something illegal, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to do that if they have this kind of upbringing. And so the only thing I can say is, yes, capitalism does corrupt, and greed does corrupt. But, that's no reason for us not to teach what we're teaching. We think it should be taught every day in the schools, and that's what we have been advocating for many, many years. But I see you have your curriculum here, and you may want to talk about that,
Yes,
Sandra.
I wanted to give the definition of what etiquette means. And this is what the first and second graders are learning at Lincoln Elementary. First, good manners. What does manners mean? And we talk about what it means to have good manners. We do exercises, demonstrations, and they are mastering it. But this is their second week with me.
Oh, wow.
And I'm telling you, I am simply amazed.
Yes, yes, yes.
Simply amazed.
They want this.
Yes, they do.
They
Yes, they
want
do.
to
Yes, they do.
understand.
And this
They don't
young
want
lady,
the confusion that
this
they
young
see.
lady today, this was what she told me. She said, I learned since you've been here the word etiquette. I've learned good manners. I've learned social behavior and accepted standards of behavior. Now, I didn't ask her to do this.
Right.
She asked me, could she tell me in the class what she's learned.
Right.
So I said, okay. I let her come to the front of the class, and to my surprise, she read it all down. I mean, I said, okay. I said, you got it going on, young lady.
Yes, yes, yes.
So now the teacher's going to add these words that I've taught to the spelling lesson, and so we're working together. This is going to be a fantastic group. I see a very, very, very big outcome.
Absolutely.
Great victory all the way, all the way.
They are excited. They want to participate. They want to understand, because at the core of who you are is your ability to behave in a certain acceptable fashion. And so they want to show you that they are getting it.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because what one young man told me today, I was leaving the class, and that's another thing. The first week, they really took to me. And I never have a problem with children anyway. But they know that I love them and I'm genuine. But this young man told me today, I was leaving, he says, Miss Craig, can you tell me where the School of Etiquette is? I want to attend. I said, I'll tell you tomorrow when I come to school. And the first week, 2 of my students said they wanted to write, and they were going to write books about etiquette.
Can you believe that?
I mean, the first week, I just introduced them to this word. I said, wow. So I'm excited about what's going on at Lincoln Elementary.
It's a great opportunity. And when you work with that age, they're so genuine. They're so sincere. They're not putting on a pretense. They are who they say they are, and how they behave is who they are. And it's really, I know you're having a great time.
Yes, I am. I go there with a smile on my face, and I leave with a smile on my face. But, you know, it's not just the students. The staff have welcomed me. They have been very nice to me since I've been there. And that's important, too.
Very important.
I can see it's a family, you know, going on there. Everybody is helping each other. I didn't know my way around the first day. This teacher offered to take me to the classroom and show me how to get around so I'd know where the classes were. I'm telling you, it's been a great experience at Lincoln Elementary.
And you must give credit to that principal over there.
Oh, yeah, she is awesome.
An outstanding lady there.
Yes, the first day, I came into the school, it was raining. You know, we got lost because it's a little ways. And my hands were wet. And she put her hand out to shake my hand, and I said, "Oh, my hand is wet." She said, "Well, mine is dry, so it's okay." So it's been a wonderful, Principal Rivers and her whole staff. It's been a wonderful experience, and I'm really glad that I'm there.
Wonderful. I'm glad you're there too, and I just think it's such a wonderful opportunity to educate those young people, to show that community that this subject is critical to who they become in the future. And that's what this is all about. This is about turning out outstanding adults.
Yes. And
contributing adults. And so we are very pleased to be there to be able to help them along that way.
Yes. I believe I have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Hello, how are you guys doing today?
How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Yeah, I had a comment and a question for you. You mentioned something about the etiquette. I want to comment on that. Many of these students that are in high school, grammar school, like when I'm on public transportation sometimes, they do not practice etiquette. They're cursing, they're playing their songs real loud, and they're cursing in front of elderly people. You know, so many of them do not practice that. What you talk about on there, whatever. And my question to you guys is, well, why don't they live in the school days? They are out of school more than in school, because every time I go outside, they always have half a day of school, or they don't have full day of school at all.
Yes, well, we do appreciate exactly what you said. I've ridden public transportation and see the very same things that you're talking about. It's because they haven't been taught etiquette. They don't know what is appropriate behavior in public. And when children feed on each other's ideas about what it should be, it's like you take a group of kids and put them on a baseball diamond and say, play baseball. If they don't know the rules of the game, they are not going to be able to play it efficiently. And so because these young people haven't been taught etiquette, you see it in public, and it's very embarrassing to see that. You know, you really can't say anything to them, but this is the fault of the public schools in Chicago, because they can do something about it. They can bring us in to teach them how to behave in public, but they don't want to do that. I think they like it the way it is, unfortunately.
But I'm glad and excited about what's going at Lincoln Elementary.
Absolutely.
I do believe I have a caller. Caller, you're on the air.
Yes, good evening, Miss Craig. Good evening, Mr. Wright.
Good evening.
Good evening, Steve.
That's not Steve.
That's not Steve.
That's not Steve. That's our other favorite caller.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem. No problem.
Yes.
You know, you two remind me of islands of civility and turbulent seas. And I can appreciate that. The first two callers have a overall kind of negative outlook on life. What they don't understand is that if we start implementing etiquette at the level that you guys are introducing it to the students, and then if we reinforce it at every grade level, that's how we will then re-socialize the masses. And so that would directly impact our ability to survive in these communities.
Yes, I agree.
We need you on the show.
Now, the thing is, when he talked about Wall Street and blah, 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 you cannot use what's an outlier or an anomaly and view that as the rule. those activities and behaviors are exceptions to the rule.
Yes.
Okay, they're outside the norm. The masses of people don't engage in that type of behavior.
That's true.
But when you have a negative perspective and a negative outlook, you will seek out that when you have tons of positive reinforcement in front of you, that if you just opened your eyes and sought that out and opened your mind more, most importantly, then you could uplift your spirit.
Yes.
And what has also happened in our communities is the spirit and the souls have been corrupted, and they have been maligned, and they have been compressed. And so the introduction of etiquette, the introduction of civility, it actually instills a spirit of togetherness, a like-minded thought process that embraces and uplifts. And so I can appreciate everything you guys are doing. Thank you very much.
And we appreciate that call.
Yes. Please continue to call. I mean, outstanding. And that individual has just made such wonderful contribution to this show. We really owe him an award just for calling in and articulating at the level he's articulating it. And we really appreciate your calls. Thank you so much.
Yes, totally. I agree. I totally agree. Now, at Lincoln, this is something else that I wanted to share with the viewers. Having good manners also means being kind to others. So this is relative to what Mr. Wright said about committing a crime, because etiquette and good manners teach you how to respect yourself and other people. And if you respect yourself, there's just some things you will not do, you will not get involved in, and you will not do to other people, because it teaches you to be kind and respectful. And we have respect for yourself.
Absolutely.
Okay. And what does it mean to be kind? Caring about each other. Remember, we are all members of the human family. And this is what my students are learning at Lincoln Elementary. I have one young man who is absolutely, I think I'm going to make him the ambassador of the class.
Okay.
He is such a gentleman. The lady cannot stand up without him pulling out the chair.
Wow.
Now, he was doing this before I came.
Right.
And I'm saying to myself, somebody's training him up right.
Wow. He actually stood up and pulled the chair.
Every
First
single
grade or second grade?
Second grade.
Second
Every
grader.
single
7-year-old.
time. Yeah, I'm amazed.
Wow.
My eyes are open wide every day at what they tell me. Like I say, every day there's a new adventure. Like today, like I said, the young man said he wants to attend the School of Etiquette. Where is it? And my students are telling me they want to write books. They're telling me all the words they've learned since I've been there. I've only had 3 hours with these students.
Wow.
3 hours. And I can't tell you where it's going to go before it's over with. I don't know. But anyway, of course, like always, my show ends too quickly and we're out of time. But I want to thank you, Mr. Wright, for being here with me again today.
I appreciate being here. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for coming. Now, to our viewers and callers, please tune in next week. We'll have another exciting show for you. I ask that you would practice your manners and tune in next week and have a great weekend. Good night.
Good night.